Okay, so today's video is going to be a quick one on venting versus dumping or sucking, as I like to say. As always, you are my mission, empaths are my mission, and my path is through Christ. Okay, so I noticed that I'm in kind of cyclical pattern when it comes to kind of trials and then kind of relief and then receiving and then noticing other things outside of me. So this I actually posted on Facebook a year ago with one of my comments, but then I wanted to kind of go over it. So we're going to talk about the difference between when you're talking to someone, when you're communicating to your friends, to your family. I mean, strangers come up to you anyway, but this is more for your friends and your family. The difference when you're kind of being used versus kind of communing, right, with each other. So, and it feels different. So we'll get into it. So venting versus dumping or sucking, right? Venting is when a person wants to let off some steam and perhaps work through an issue. It's like it feels literally like they're letting off steam, right? You're not really attached to the struggle. You're just listening like kind of it's a story. You're like, sometimes I hype them up like, what? He said what, right? What we finna do, right? So venting is when you're kind of letting off steam, and this is when you listen and you kind of provide encouragement if needed, ask questions. What do you do, girl? Right? So like a story that I told, okay, the like height of coronavirus, right? I was going to the grocery store to get provisions, right? Because, it's the apocalypse, right? So I'm trying to get provisions, and I'm like, got out of the grocery store, about to walk out the grocery store, and then there's this dude that has a cart that's in front of me, and it's got like one thing in it, and it's really not a necessity. So he's blocking the way, and then I'm like waiting for a little while, like trying to get his attention, and I got a mask on, so I didn't want to shout. And then finally I was like, excuse me, and then he looked at me and he said, me first, and then took his cart and went out the door. Okay, so that's venting, right? Okay, it's kind of funny, right? But also, I was really irritated when I told my sister after I got back. I was also confused. Like, I was like, this man really did try me at the grocery store. But anyway, but like when I'm telling the story, my issue is not my friend's issue or my sister's issue. So I'm not expecting her to attach to my problems, right? You're on a journey only while you speak. So I'm on this emotional roller coaster story with you. Now, this is not for when someone is in a trial, right? When we talk about, how to properly or adequately minister to the saints, right? When you're in a trial, I'm going to sit, and if I come and see you and you got, sackcloth on, you got dirt all over your face, and, I'm going to rip my clothes. I'm talking about Job, right? And I'm just going to sit there and not say anything, right? But this is when, it's particular events happen, okay? It's like events. It's not really, like you're going through... Okay, so now that's venting, right? You can feel kind of a relief and be like, I'm glad I got that off my chest. Yeah, me too, girl. I'll talk to you later, bye, right? Now, dumping is when someone tells you all their problems with no intentions on working on them and no concern about your life, right? Dumping feels like they're giving you their burden, right? It's not that they are sharing, right? I'm sharing the load, right? We bear one another's burdens, but not at the price of ourselves, right? Not in the way that we normally practice it, of like listening to complaint after complaint and not saying anything about ourselves, right? When we need help. So anyway, in this case, when they're dumping, be neutral and don't follow the path of negativity, right? I might actually call it out nicely when they're talking. For instance, there's a pattern of behavior where I had one friend who was actually an empath, who every time we would talk, all she would do is complain and dump. Actually, she was feeding. She would suck, right? And what sucking does, as opposed to dumping, right? I don't have her burden, but what she's doing is taking energy away, right? Right? When I'm paying attention to all her negativity and I'm in the light, she's saying, join me in the darkness, instead of the not having the willingness to look at the light and continue the cycle, right? So sucking is more energetic, right, when they're taking, and it's when they're actually taking kind of my attention and my energy. And you can feel it because you feel drained while you're doing it. So anyway, she would always come and want to talk to me about, work and blah, 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 blah. And we all have blah, 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 blah. But then at one point I was kind of tired, right? I'm dealing with my own issues. So she was like, hey, you want to go talk? And I'm like, do you want to talk or do you want to feed? And I was purely in spiritual mode of empath. And then she was like, feed a little. Then no, right? No, I'm not. You're not going to just feed, right? You're not giving me anything in return. This is not a reciprocal conversation. And that's one of the points of the difference between venting and dumping. You can interject. Now, I'm going to let somebody tell the story, but there are times where I'll be like, ooh, that happened to me. And no, they didn't, right? But if you're dumping, there's no pause for you to even breathe. They're just kind of covering you. Kind of with the with the mess, and not really seeing that like this is a journey, right? And it's kind of funny that the man cut me off and said me first, and God kind of gave me a little bit of a confusion at the end, so I didn't go off on him, right? So anyway, that's the difference. Very short. Wishing you love, light, and guidance through the Holy Spirit.